Welcome to the Kindred Journey Podcast, the podcast where women share their experiences of stepping into courage when comfort is no longer an option. This is the podcast for connecting in community with women who have been shaped by the liberating to challenging seasons that life endures. I am your host, Lesley. I am a wife, mother, daughter, sister, and friend. I too have experienced these seasons in life, and I want you to know that you are surrounded by a community of courageous, real women here for you. I can't wait to connect, so grab your favorite beverage and join me on this kindred journey. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kindred Journey Podcast. This is our first episode, and I am so excited to be here and to be your host. I feel like it is a long time coming, and if you would have asked me a year ago if I would have started a podcast, I would have shaken my head and said no. So here we are. We're getting this thing going in the new year of 2024, and I can't wait to share with you some of the stories of some pretty courageous women. And I also will share some of my seasons and moments of courage that I have endured over the years, intermingled with these women's stories and as these episodes kind of roll out. So I just wanted to come on here first and foremost to share a little bit about me, and so you kind of have a background there getting started. My name is Lesley, and as I've expressed before, I'm a wife, a mom. I work full time as an agriculture real estate appraiser. Some people don't know what that is. It's kind of something that you just fall into as a career. I don't think any child spends their childhood saying, "Yeah, I'm going to be an ag appraiser when I grow up." So I appraise farms and ranches for mostly lending purposes for a bank, and I've been doing that for over 12 years, so time flies when you're having fun already. Just recently became a mom in 2022 and have another one on the way here in a few short months, so looking forward to birthing a baby and birthing a podcast all in 2024, so lots of new life around here in our household. I started this podcast because I felt like I needed a little bit of a passion project. Before having kids, loved to be outside and loved to be in out recreation and skiing in the winter and mountain biking in the summer and camping and just being outdoors. So I feel like since I've become a mom in my mid-30s, my hobbies and preferences of filling my cup were kind of limited as far as what I'm able to do with babies on the ground. So yeah, it was about March of 2023 that I went skiing with a friend, and we drove up to the mountain, and it ended up being pretty windy and pretty icy, and we did a few runs, and we were like, no, this isn't right. We need to go get some breakfast or something. So we drove down the hill and went to a little brunch spot, and I think it was Bottomless Mimosa Monday or something like that. Bad idea for a Monday, right? And we had a few bottomless mimosas. I guess it's only one if they're bottomless, right? So we were talking and just kind of shooting the shit, and starting a podcast came up, and we talked about doing it together, and then that didn't kind of really evolve into anything. But it was still kind of sticking with me through the rest of this year. And I thought, no, I think I'm going to do it. So I heard somewhere, I think it was probably on a podcast, that to find joy or to create joy within the season that you're in. And so I felt like a podcast was truly calling to me because I am in this season of early motherhood, and I don't have the flexibility and freedom that I once used to have. It's kind of ironic how busy I used to say I always was, and I get it. Like, it's different life, different season, different mindset. But no, truly, like, multitasking is at a whole new level these days than it was before kids. So yeah, that's kind of how the podcast evolved. And I signed up for a course this summer and learned a lot. The technology was pretty intimidating to me. So that was something it's still intimidating, and I'm still wrapping my head around here at the final hour recording this episode before I launch this podcast. So it's been fun. It's been fun to learn something new, something exciting. I enjoy connecting with women. That's the thing I love the most. That's why I'm doing this is for women. It's a podcast by women for women. We're going to talk about courage and choosing courage over comfort. Courage, I feel like, shows up in various ways in people's lives. And I've personally experienced a few seasons of courage the last few years that have showed up in different ways. I feel like courage is either chosen or it's kind of forced on you. And I think the chosen courage, it can be scary, it can be fearful, but it can be liberating and exciting. And yeah, I'm really doing this, oh my gosh, kind of feeling. And then, there are seasons of courage where you're kind of just shoved into the closet and deal with it. And I've been there too. So I will dive into each of these seasons kind of as these episodes unfold and as I have guests come on and kind of integrate my seasons of courage in line with some of these other stories from these courageous women that you're going to hear. Because courage isn't always easy. I feel like another thing I've discovered talking to some of these women is that you can show up and be discomfort, have discomfort either way. You can show up authentically with yourself and who you are, or you can show up and be out of alignment and further from yourself and also be uncomfortable. So choose your discomfort, choose your path. This is a passion project for me. I'm excited to see where this goes. I really have no expectations and just kind of learning as I go. And I think that's the best thing, because I feel like this is the first fun new thing I've done in a long time as an adult and as a working mom, and we're busy and we have, we all have lives. And so thank you for taking the time to listen. I hope this is of use for you and you can benefit from this podcast. So so basically we're going to talk about all seasons of life. There's really nothing off the table here. We're going to talk about life, work, marriage, motherhood, traveling, anything that calls to the guests to share with the audience. I encourage them to kind of bring whatever is calling them as far as their season of courage to share. So I'm excited for you to hear. I've already interviewed several women, several brave, courageous women that have shared their stories. And I feel like even in that in itself is such a wonderful, it's a courageous thing to show up and be vulnerable. I feel like I am one who, I used to think this was a flaw or a bad thing, but I show up with vulnerability right on my sleeve. I have no problem talking about hard with strangers, not quite strangers, but pretty much I'm not afraid to express how I'm feeling or share a hard story or share a hard thing. And I've through this process, I've kind of learned like that's not for everybody, and that can take a lot of courage for some people. So I commend people for showing up and doing that. So thank you. This is going to be a safe space. So we're all different folks, different strokes, different, backgrounds, everything. So I want people to be able to feel safe and this is a sacred space for them to share their story. So welcoming them with open arms to speak freely, share their story, be vulnerable, and hopefully you can benefit from that. I feel like there's going to be minimal editing on this podcast. I have a toddler and I have one on the way in a few short months. So I don't have a lot of time. I feel like also showing up as authentic as I truly can be is what listeners of this type of podcast want to hear, because like I said, we're going to talk about fun stuff, but we're going to talk about some hard shit, and it's never polished and perfect when you talk about hard stuff. Let's be real. So it's going to be minimal editing. You're going to see what you get kind of thing, or hear what you get, I should say, because there will not be video. At least right now, there is not going to be any kind of video podcast. I'm not there yet. Again, with the technology is quite the learning curve for myself. But every year I like to start the year with not resolutions, not goals, not a new year, new me, but I like to show up with a word, at least to try and kind of check in with or tune into throughout the year. And I feel like this year is authenticity is my word. And I'm recording this a few days into the new year. It's actually launch day today, so no time like the present to get it done and get this first episode recorded and get it out there for you guys to hear. So I feel like this podcast is the first authentic thing I've probably done, or just the first thing I've done for myself in a long time. Again, motherhood. We've had some seasons lately of life, and it's the things that I took for granted as a single person or a newly married person, or, just the little things. I've expressed so much more gratitude lately for the small moments of drinking my cup of coffee before everybody else wakes up, and journaling or reading my Bible or whatever it is. Little things like that I absolutely took for granted and didn't even think twice about before this season of life. So trying to embrace this season, as well as time for myself, and to do this podcast again is probably one of the most authentic things I have done for myself in a long time. And I feel like as a new mom, and again, what we have kind of experienced the last few years, I have shifted away from the authentic Lesley. So I'm looking forward to kind of tapping back into that and remaining curious with that. And it's probably going to look different than it did a few years ago or last year. A lot of growth and change has happened. So yeah, I'm excited for you guys to be along for the ride and joining me on this Kindred Journey and see where it goes. Because like I said, I don't really have any expectations to where this is going to unfold. So I'm really excited. It's going to be messy. It's going to be real. There will be some curse words on some of the podcasts, so I will make note of that. Not that they're going to be filled with them, but there will be some. So, that's kind of just what I wanted to hop on here for, and express how excited I am to start this journey with listeners. And I feel like if one person can take away some courage from this podcast and make a choice or make a decision that's scary but exciting, or they're in a really hard time or hard season that they're struggling with, like, know that we're here for you. This is a community of women for other women. Really, it is. I've met so many wonderful women through this podcasting journey this class that I took this summer. Kathy Heller and Kelsey Murphy were the coaches, and they were awesome. And I'm just glad that I had the community support through that class, because there were times of doubt of what am I doing? Why am I doing this? This is ridiculous. I'm in over my head, all the fears, all the doubts. But I'd pick up the phone or send a message on social media to somebody in my cohort, and they're there for you. They're going through the same thing. So it's just nice to feel like you're not the only one that's human, and everybody's going through it, and we're all at our own pace. This is our own, That's another thing I'm trying to remind myself. I'm on my own journey. I'm not the same person that my friend is or the coaches are. Like, they've been doing this for years. So to show up as my authentic, messy self, and I'll be real about it. I have no problem doing that. Yeah, to remind myself that this is my journey. This is my path. This is not anybody else's. So if you like it, great. If you don't listen, I guess. I don't know. There's plenty of podcasts out there. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you get something from it. I'd love to hear your feedback. If you have any kind of topics or that you'd like to hear more about, or any kind of guest that you think would be a great fit for this podcast, I'm more than willing to be open and receiving. So I love input, constructive, positive, negative, I will embrace it all, and I appreciate it because, like I said, I'm learning in this process, and I'm just excited to put something out there that can hopefully help one person in the world. And that's the goal, is to just help just one. So thank you again for taking the time to listen, and I appreciate all of you. Happy New Year. Hopefully 2024 is a prosperous one for everybody. I hope lots of peace, lots of joy, lots of receiving. Another thing I'm trying to work on is receiving more. I'm kind of a doer, so I feel like when people offer things, I'm like, oh no, I got it. And then I'm like, do you? Let's reassess this. Let's actually accept if they're willing to help. So another word, but it's not my top word for the year. So anyways, thank you guys so much again. I couldn't have done it without the coaches through my program, and my husband has been very supportive through my passion project, wondering what I'm doing in my office with my doors shut late at night, most nights after the kid goes to sleep. So thank you to him. Not sure if he'll listen. I've already kind of expressed what this podcast is going to be about, and it's probably too woo-woo-y for him, which is totally fine. It's not for guys anyways. It's for women. So you can listen if you want, but I don't know what you're going to get out of it. So anyways, thank you again. And I look forward to this endeavor and having you join me on this Kindred Journey. Thank you for joining me and listening to the Kindred Journey podcast. If this episode resonated with you, please consider taking the time to rate and review the podcast and share this episode with family and friends who you think might enjoy it. Your positive feedback helps me reach more courageous women like you. This is my passion project, so without you, I wouldn't be here doing this, and I deeply appreciate your support. Until next time.